Yuri.
I'm Jacob.
We're going for a drive. '2019 Mercedes-AMG E53
Coupe 4MATIC Plus.
So it is the first AMG version of the no B-pillars for this generation.
Correct.
In E. S has no B-pillars already. Horsepower and torque.
429 horsepower, 384 pound-feet of torque from a 3-liter inline-6 turbo with an electric supercharger.
So what does the electric supercharger do?
It basically just gives you boost to torque fill before the turbo kicks in so that there's less lag.
Yeah, and I noticed there's a ready light on the gauge cluster.
Yeah, it's literally always there and it kind of bothers me.
I guess electric cars need to have that so that people know they're ready to roll.
Well, this is an electric car, but it has electricness to it.
Yeah, the only time I think I got it to drive in full electric was when I was reversing once.
Yeah, it's supposed to do it on decel, so like right when you're almost coming to a stop, basically.
But it is very, very quick.
It is pretty quick, yeah.
It's not real AMG fast, I guess.
It's not.
Because technically this isn't a real AMG.
It's not a hand-built engine, so no, we do not think it's a real AMG. That does not make it a bad car, we're just stating that.
So I absolutely love the E400 Coupe because it had no B-pillars.
And I loved it too for that.
So let's talk about the changes to this AMG version. So since it's an AMG, it has the quad exhaust at the back.
Yes, it does, and it sounds completely different.
Yeah, this is the fake 2019 exhaust where you've got 2 exhaust tips and then 1 pipe coming out through the back.
Yeah, and it does crackle and pop. It sounds okay, nothing remarkable.
And then moving above the exhaust tips, now we've got a little AMG spoiler on the back.
Yeah, I really like that spoiler.
And then the rest of the body lines, it doesn't seem like it's any wider, but I think it just looks better because of the spoiler and the exhaust tips and the bumpers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's no wider than the regular E400.
But it's got a pretty good stance as it is, as an E400.
Well, I disagree because it's a little too tall. There's way too much wheel gap for a Mercedes. Mercedes always nails their stance. This one just has a little bit too much wheel gap.
And then the front end has a slightly different grille. I guess the 43/53s don't have the pin grille anymore. This one's got the same style that we had in the C43 wagon.
Yeah, it's not too crazy looking from the front. It's not like AMG looking, it's just kind of AMG looking.
Yeah, I think it's a good improvement over the E400, and I actually really like the subtle changes to this.
It does look really good. It just looks a little bit better than the E400. Moving around to the side, I really like these wheels. Mercedes has some of the best wheels in the business, and I love these ones.
Yeah, do you like these more than a monoblock?
No.
But it's pretty good for a fake AMG.
Yeah, exactly.
And what is the Continental recommended tire for the E53?
The Extreme Contact Sport.
So what's your favorite angle on the E53 Coupe?
The side.
But the side from where? Just side from side?
Side from side.
When you get both seats down so it looks like it's just a huge empty arch?
You got it.
Personally, I wasn't too sold on the looks in black until I saw it rolling on the street from a rear 3/4 angle.
Yeah, black really hides a lot of the body lines, but you can still get that nice openness from the side.
Yeah, the white one we drove last year popped a lot more. Like, I was more happy to see that at all times. This one, I feel like you need to have the windows down and be rolling because you can't really park with the windows down.
That was overall just a better spec in general.
Yeah, because of the interior. This one's all black, but we'll get to that in a bit. But now I want to bring up again, convertible or coupe?
Coupe, and I'm gonna correct myself from the last convertible.
Yeah.
I do get a better experience when I'm in here, and forget about the convertible, this is the one to get.
Exactly. It's just like, we would roll down the windows right now if it wouldn't screw up our audio, but this thing just looks so amazing. I rolled up on an old, I guess, CLS or something.
Oh yeah.
And it was black, had the windows down. It's that rear 3/4. You catch up to that and you're just like, damn.
The rear end is the better part of this.
Nothing looks this good on the road.
Yeah, that B-pillarless design is just, they nailed it.
And then speaking of black not popping much, at sunset, that's when it pops the most. You can get like the nice reflection of the red sky.
Speaking of red sky, we do have our favorite Mercedes interior colors in this, and because it's the E-Class, we get the nice swoops everywhere, so we do have red moon in here.
Okay, I'm gonna red moon into cliche corner.
Send it.
And for a big car, it actually handles so well.
It actually does, like surprisingly well. There's not that much body roll, there is some.
But should you be surprised? I mean, an E63 handles amazing through here. So like, what's the big difference?
Because a 63 gets all the real AMG treatment.
But it's still the same platform, except this maybe doesn't have a B-pillar, so it's a little more flexy.
Well, it's not exactly that. It's a lot of different suspension components.
But the rest of it, like, you know what I mean? They're making a 2-door out of a fast 4-door, so why shouldn't the 2-door still be pretty decent?
It is definitely decent. It's just not as decent as a 63.
I know, and I'm surprised at how decent it is. So moving on to the interior, obviously no B-pillar, so when we roll down our windows, we can reach all the way across. Let me show you real quick. It's that beautiful open air feel that nobody has the guts to do anymore except for Mercedes.
Pretty much.
Only this and the S-Class Coupe.
Exactly.
And unlike the convertible E-Class, we've got so much more room in the back seats.
Yeah, there's a good amount of room in there. I don't really fit that well, just my head basically because of the shape of the car.
And if we look into the trunk, there's a ton of room and the seats fold down, unlike the Mercedes GT63 four-door.
And speaking about the back end of the interior of this, we also have a peasant blocker back there, and it's automatic.
Let me hit that for you. Yeah, I guess it'd be kind of weird putting up peasant blockers when there's no B-pillars.
Probably.
So now moving on to the worst part of this whole car, the black on black interior.
It's just boring. Like, that's all that's wrong with it. It's not that it's bad, it's just a little bit boring looking.
And I guess there are boring people out there.
Yeah, for
who
sure.
like boring interiors.
I've had a black on black ISF and it was fine, but it's just not exciting.
Yeah, if this had white or tan, I think it would pop a lot more because you'd actually like see something from the outside.
Exactly.
The way it is right now, it's just like a black tunnel, like a black hole.
Yeah, pretty much.
But you have said you like this fake carbon fiber looking material in previous Mercedes.
I believe it's called metal weave, and yeah, I still like it.
And then we got piano black. I need that dark ash wooden tan. Pretty much the last one.
There's so much piano black in here, it's disgusting, and it's all dusty. Like, this is why you don't spec gloss black on low surfaces, and even high surfaces as well.
And then we've got the same old AMG steering wheel like we did in the C43. We've got the good style infotainment and gauge cluster, the sweet spot.
Yeah, one generation back from the newest generation.
The one that doesn't let you say, hey Mercedes. So we do have rewinding satellite radio stations and tune mix, Apple CarPlay. It goes all the way across, Android Auto. Then we've got our gauge cluster that says standard, sport, and progressive. We haven't moved to
Super Sport.
Super Sport
because
yet.
It's not a real AMG.
And then we've got the traditional scroll wheel at the bottom that hasn't upgraded to the touchpad style yet.
We've got super comfortable seats as we always do in Mercedes, but not as comfortable as 63 Sport seats. But this isn't like a sporty car, so I get it.
Yeah, and like other Mercedes, we have our seat controls on the side, but this one I can't control the passenger seat from my side.
That's right, but we do have heated and ventilated seats, not cooled seats. So they just suck the heat out of your back, but they don't blow cold air up your butt, so they're not that cold.
Which is why we're allowed to have hot and cold at the same time.
Yeah, so I would like cooled seats.
They trick us with that blue light.
And speaking of that panel, we do have a really good sound system, and the speaker grills look awesome too.
So in progressive, we can see our power and charge meter go back and forth. And because of that, I like to keep it in the standard mode.
I actually don't mind that at all. I thought it would bother me, but it doesn't.
It catches my eyes going back and forth all the time.
I get that.
And then another thing is we get the normal flashing when you're near red line in the progressive mode, but when you're in manual mode, in standard mode, we get the actual track shift bar at the top.
I did notice that as well.
And then you get that in the head-up display as well. And just like the C43 AMG, not every red line lines up perfectly, so you really need to find out which one you need to use if you're trying to go super fast.
I haven't missed any shifts. By missing shifts, I mean bogging it down in this, because I haven't really sent it in this because it's not one of those cars for me.
So let's talk about what kind of car it is with you in the driver's seat.
Sounds good.
It's kind of cool how you can actually still see the lights in the daytime, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, seatbelt giver.
Launch control.
No launch control.
Because it's not a real AMG. There's the first shift that I bogged down. But it is pretty quick.
And the reason you bog down is because you're in progressive mode.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the mode I sit you up in.
But I did like the flashing lights. I just didn't shift fast enough.
That's what I'm saying, because the flashing lights are at the wrong time.
Anyways, this should do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.6 seconds, which is pretty quick. And let's send this inline 6 turbo into cliche corner, and it does handle quite well in Sport Plus mode. This does not have a race mode because it's not a real AMG, once again, and completely fine. It does handle really well. There's not that much body roll. The steering is really good. There's none of that weird BMW-ness. You know exactly what's going on center.
Yeah, now that you mention it, there's nothing weird about any of the steering at all.
Exactly. It's only in M Performance BMWs that we really complain about it, and even some M's like the M5.
Okay, and speaking of this being a lower tier AMG car, this does get track pace.
Yes, it does.
Which the other one didn't.
But it doesn't have a Nürburgring record time.
It probably doesn't have a Nürburgring record. Well, maybe
It
no,
doesn't.
I guess the S-Class would probably still have a better record for...
oh, for sure it would.
One with no B-pillars.
Exactly. But speaking of the overall handling, it's still very comfortable. It does feel a little bit more rear biased. It's very neutral, but overall it's not as comfortable as the E400 Coupe, which is kind of why I don't like it. We do have a bunch of drive modes. We can soften the suspension, but in the softest suspension, it's not as soft as the E400 Coupe is.
But you know what this does better than the E400 Coupe?
many things.
But especially your throttle response in every sport mode isn't as jarring as it was in the E400 Coupe. The E400 Coupe was borderline undrivable in the sportiest mode.
It was just so touchy for no reason.
And this, even in the sportiest mode, isn't that touchy.
I agree. Now this does have 4MATIC Plus, so it is all-wheel drive, but it is definitely more rear biased than anything. Now 4MATIC Plus technically means that it's capable of sending all of its torque to the rear wheels.
But this doesn't have a drift mode.
No, it does not, because it's not a real AMG. I'm gonna get a lot of hate in this video.
Yeah, but it's like, there's nothing wrong with not having a not real AMG.
There's completely nothing wrong with
somebody left a comment saying even real AMGs are mostly like hand inspected now at this point.
Well, they got signatures and people's names on them, so there's something to it.
So a signature means an inspection. We don't know for sure. We got to go to the factory and check it out.
That would be fun. Since we're talking about that, let's talk about this drivetrain. So this EQ boost thing is actually really cool. You definitely notice it filling the torque before the turbo kicks in. So when you floor it, especially in progressive, you see the power gauge kick in, and then if you have your boost showing up, it's like half a second right after that you have full boost. So it's really cool to see both of those gauges working together. So watch, if I do that right now, power, boost.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, and there's not much lag at all. It's a really good system.
It's almost too much to look at.
I like it though.
Unless you're being analytical just to see what it does.
Yeah.
Then you can hide it.
If you look at it in your peripheral, you just kind of see one go to the max and then the other one go to the max the other way. And this is a 9-speed automatic transmission. It shifts very quick, very smooth. If you leave it in drive, it's just one of the smoothest transmissions. It doesn't need to be any faster shifting for this amount of horsepower.
But to get the full speed out of it, you really need to be in manual mode and Sport Plus.
Yeah, it does make a big difference.
Like you need to. If you want to race like a Bullet Mustang or something and dust them, you need to be in that mode.
Yeah, good luck with that though.
I had you though.
You didn't.
I had you, bro.
You never had your car. This does have a bunch of different drive modes, so if Eco, Individual, Comfort, Sport, and Sport Plus. Again, there's no race mode because it's not a real AMG.
We already said that. So after driving a couple more Italian sports cars and then maybe some more BMW, what do you think of these paddles?
The paddles are still good.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
The most fair paddles of all time.
They're definitely better than Audi paddles and BMW paddles, but they're not better than Italian paddles.
And then this does have the really good lane keep, but it doesn't have traffic jam assist like the BMW has.
Yeah, exactly. And let's talk about that exhaust for a bit, because it sounds okay, not the best, but it's appropriate for a 53 series model.
I think it sounds really good for someone who has sensitive ears like myself.
There you go.
When the Mustang Bullet's too loud, this is the right amount. I remember a complaint. So our parking camera, we've got the 360 camera, everything very high resolution, but there's a little black shadow around the car and it doesn't let me know exactly how close I am to the line or not. I don't know if the shadow is part of the car or not.
Yeah, I see what you mean by that.
But it does park itself.
So overall, this is a very good car, much improved from the E400. Oh yeah. Okay.
These always pass, don't they? 3, 2, 1.
Yes. That was a full extension pass.
Yeah, as far as your eyes go, because there's no way you're gonna reach the very back.
Exactly. And if you're just tuning in, you haven't watched a visor test before, this is just to block the sun. That's it.
And then fits a small cup, no problem. Much better than the GT63 did.
Yes, it did.
And we don't do a box test because it's not a hatchback, but it'd be pretty cool if it was. Now let's get to the price.
Before we get to the price, I would like to address a couple complaints about this car.
You have complaints about this amazing, perfect car?
I do.
Hit me with it.
And it's very subjective. Objectively, this is a great car and it's a huge upgrade over the E400. However, for me, it's not as comfortable as the E400 and it's not as fast as the 63, so it's this middle ground that I personally don't like and I don't get, so I get pretty much no joy out of driving this. I would prefer to actually get the E400 Coupe, so this is probably the first time in history where I would pick the slower car.
Hit me with the price and I will try to rebut that.
This one starts at $86,000 and the one that we're driving is $102,250.
Canadian.
Which is kind of a lot of money.
I feel like that's only $10,000 more than the E400 was.
It's around that.
So for about $10,000, you get a cooler exhaust, a better sound, you get the AMG badge, and you get track pace.
Oh, I don't deny any of that. It's just not for me.
I think it's totally worth it. You get the fastest E-Class coupe. Like, what's not to like? Don't you always want faster?
I've already listed everything I don't like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like you get the cool hybrid mode.
I do want faster. I want the 63. This isn't fast enough for me.
They haven't gotten there yet.
Well, then I don't like it until they do.
Yeah,
that's it.
For me, like, I don't see the reason why not to. For $11,000, if you're already buying a Mercedes, that's $100,000.
And I get that, just not for me.
So let's talk about the no competition that this car has.
Yeah, it doesn't have any competition really.
So let us know if you like the E-Class Coupe. Is no B-Pillars the best? I know it is. I just want to hear you say it.
No B-Pillars is definitely the best, but I still think you should get the E400 Coupe, so let us know if I'm wrong in the comments.
He's wrong. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Check out patreon.com/TheStraightPipes, and I'm definitely right.
And join our YouTube membership, because Jacob's wrong. Cutting it. I'm Yuri.
I'm Jacob.
And we're going for a drive. Subscription break. Don't forget to subscribe.
Subscribe right now. Subscribe. We didn't do that.